SO Daily. I am your host, Mystic Raven. Alright guys, so I have a new Stamina Sorc PvP build. Kind of had an idea and I wanted to check it out, try it out, and I'm pretty happy with the results. So today I want to go ahead and introduce you guys to my new build, Critical Overload. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the character sheet. This is a bow two-hand build. It is a 5-2 config with 5 heavy, 2 medium. So max magicka is at 11,251. Max health's at 22,928, slightly under 23. Max stam is 32,243. You're going to go ahead and see my weapon critical is at 58.9. Weapon damage is only 1,730, but keep in mind this is a heavy armor build. So it's meant for survival, and when you buff up, it'll get up to about 2k, so don't worry about it. This is the nice thing. Prior to the buff, the spell resistance is 17,260. Physical resistance 17,260. I like to try to keep those even. Critical resistance at 1,950. To the left, you go ahead and see all of my attribute points are spent into stamina. I am using the Dubious Kimura Throne, and we are using the Lover Mundus. Okay, now when I come over to the mall side, not much really changes, except stamina recovery drops a little bit. But I'll go ahead and get in that. Keep in mind now the weapon crit's at 54. That's what's really nice about this build. So when I go back, we got 58. And then we got 54. It's very important that critical is going to remain high. I'll explain why. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the sets here. We're going to be using Briarheart set and the Mechanical Acuity set. Okay, let's go down piece by piece and I'll explain what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Bow of Mechanical Acuity, Nirnhone, with, that's right, a shock enchantment. Keep in mind, my shock and my mace both have, my bow and my mace both have shock enchantments. They're both Nirnhone. Now, we're pretty familiar with Mechanical Acuity, but for those who aren't, this is a craftable set that you can craft and clock outside of Clockwork City. What it does is it adds weapon damage, spell damage, max stam, max magicka. When I deal damage, I have a 15% chance to gain an unearning mechanical vision for 5 seconds, causing my attacks to always be critical strikes. This effect can occur once every 18 seconds. Now, typically, I do not like this in PvE builds, but I wanted to do this PvP. Why? Well, it's very important because I'm going to use my critical surge. Right? That's very, very helpful with a set like this. I don't like the downtime for PvE, so that's why I don't use it. But for PvP in this build, works out great because I'm also going to be using Briarheart. Now, I got the Briarheart head infused, max stamina. What does Briarheart do? It goes ahead and gives me weapon critical, gives me max stam, gives me critical. When I deal critical damage, I have a 10% chance to increase my weapon damage by 434 for 10 seconds. Now, keep that in mind, guys, so I can bump up my weapon damage when I get this to proc. That's going to be helpful with the Mechanical Acuity when it procs as well, because when this effect is active, your critical strikes heal for 623 health. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. So any critical strike I deal within 10 seconds is going to heal for 623. Really, really nice set. This is infused, medium, ideal. I have the Curse of Mechanical Acuity, heavy, max stam, ideal. I have the Slime Claw Pauldrons, impen, max stam, ideal. The reason I'm going to be using one piece of this is very simple. It's going to give me spell crit and it's going to give me weapon critical. I want to keep that critical up there, and like I said, I want to keep 5 heavy, so this is heavy as well. I'm going to be using the Girdle of Mechanical Acuity, impen, stamina, ideal. I'm going to be using Gauntlets of Mechanical Acuity, impen, max stam, ideal. Greaves of Mechanical Acuity, infuse, max stam, ideal. Briarheart boots, divine. I just want to keep one piece divine. If you want to go impen, you can, just because I'm using that Lover Mundus. and that's pretty much ideal. I have the Briarheart Collar, robust increase. Briarheart Band, robust stamina. I do have a healthy. I opted for a healthy, but if you want to go with a robust one for that extra little bit of damage, you can do that. Keep in mind, you can also glyph these with increase, but your recovery is going to go to shit if you do, even with the Dubious Gamor Throne. So I would suggest keeping 2 with the recovery. Now, let's go ahead and get into the skills, and I'll show you what we're doing here. Okay, primary bar 2H. Now keep in mind I'm using the maul, and it's very important that we're going to use the maul for this. The main reason being, when we take a look at heavy weapons, maces cause my attacks to ignore 20% of the target's physical resistance. You want to keep that in the back of your head when you're using a maul. Okay, very important. Okay, so I'm going to have to reply back to him. Okay, critical rush, right? Pretty standard. This is really nice because it's always going to be guaranteed a crit. All right, dizzy swing. It's going to have the knockback to it. Reverse slice. You can go with executioner, but I'm using reverse slice because keep in mind, if I'm hitting other targets and they're critting, it's going to will do what? Give me more healing. All right, hurricane, really, really important because when I use this ability and I go back into my character sheet, now I'm sitting at 22,540 spell and physical resistance. Really, really good. Okay, so we're going to use Camouflage Hunter on both bars. Think of it almost like Mage Light, but it's going to give us major savagery, but also if we're, you know, in a crouched position and we attack from that, it's also going to give us minor berserk. So you can go ahead and hit your stealth pots, go ahead and hit from a stealth position, especially with the Khajiit passive. When we go into Khajiit, we get that nice stealthy bonus, increasing our damage by 10%. All right, I want to say 10%. Yeah, 10%. So it comes in handy. Also, excuse me, Dawnbreaker of Smiting, stun effect, plus we're getting a 6% in the Fighters Guild for having both abilities slotted. Okay, right here. Okay, back bar. Like I said, we're going to be using Critical Surge. Critical Surge is going to give us our major brutality. It's also going, while it's active, dealing critical strikes heals us for 3,180 health. This can happen every second. Add that with the Briarheart and add that with the Resolving Vigor. We have plenty of sustain ability. Really, really nice. Poison Injector, pretty standard. Finisher, add that on top of the Reverse Slice. We have 2 finishers, but wait. Remember I had shock enchantments on my weapons. Why? I'm also going to use Mage's Wrath here as a preset. Now, it's not going to do a lot of damage, and I do have some spell pen. Now, keep in mind I'm using the lever. That's going to go ahead and give me physical and spell penetration, and I'm going to put a few points into my CP, but it's really, really important that I use this prior set. It's going to give me basically a 3 proc finisher effect, along with the Poison Injector, the Executioner, and this effect, because when I go in to the Sorcerer abilities and we look at Implosion, when I deal shock damage, now keep in mind, it can be any shock damage, right? I have a 6% chance to instantly disintegrate enemies under 15% health, dealing 14,100 shock damage. That's pretty big, and it's significant, right? Really nice. And I can also do the Pulverize. But what's even better is I can even proc both effects. So that's why I want the shock enchantments, and that's right, it's why I'm also going to proc the Mage's Wrath. I know it sounds crazy, it seems nuts, but it works, and it is beautiful when it does. Okay, like I said, Camouflage Hunter on both sides. Now, if you're going to use Major Savagery Potion, you can use Bound Armaments, but I want to crit frequently all the time, so, and get that nice bonus for the minor Berserk if I hit the attack. Also, we're going to use the Summon Atronach for a CC AoE effect, so we get a lot of Zergs coming in. All of a sudden, we pop this little bad baby down. It's going to have a nice CC. An ally can activate the synergy and also apply Major Berserk, increasing their damage by 25%. So it really comes in handy for a nice CC effect. So I'm going to use it, and also keep in mind we get that nice expert mage. So we increase weapon and spell damage by 2% for each sorcery ability slotted. We're getting 6% on this bar with that ability slotted. So comes in handy. If you want to even use a negate or something, you can do that. I just prefer the summon charge astronaut. Comes in handy. So let's go ahead and get into the champion points really quick here. We'll start off with the apprentice. Okay, we're going to be doing a lot of self-heals. So bless is at 6.17. Remember, we are using the Lover Mundus, which is giving us some spell penetration, but we got to add a little bit more since we're using shock damage and the Wrath. So we're going to go ahead and put 2,230 into spell erosion. Okay, we're going to put Master at Arms as 19%. Thaumaturge is 13.13. We are dealing some crit damage, but I opted not to put in a precise strike because the crit damage is made to sustain, not really for damage. I want to put a lot more into base damage. We are using the Maul, we are using the Lover, but we need to add more penetration. So we're going to go ahead and take Piercing up to 4,210. That's going to give us around a little under 11k penetration. Mighty is going up to 1208. Ironclad 14.14. Spell Shield 24. Resistance 48. Hardy and Elemental Defender are both split at 37 points. Thick Skin at 611. Quick Recovery 6.17. Heavy Armor Focus 24. Okay, Warlord, we're going to want to reduce cost with Heavy Armor. It's very important. Remember, we're not sword and board, so we are going to reduce the cost of our break free by 1208. Sprinter by 21.15. We want to maintain the passive and wild running, so we're putting nothing in tenacity because keep in mind we get that nice passive in the heavy armor, which causes our heavy attacks to give us a lot of resources back. So we need nothing in tenacity. So we're going to go put Arcanus at 10.15. Why? Because we have 2 magical abilities that can cost us. So we want to go ahead and increase some magic recovery. We're going to put Mooncalf at 14%, Healthy at 4.22. We're going to put 2 in Shadow Ward because I had 2 points left over. And Tumbling's at 1602. And that is how the champion points are allocated. I am really impressed with this build, guys. I'm really happy with it. Works out pretty good. The one downside, and I'm going to tell you this, Briarheart's not always going to proc with Mechanical Acuity. Okay? So, heads up. But when they both proc around the same time, and they lap, that's when this build shines. Really, really good. It has a lot of survivability. It has a really nice amount of damage. Nothing over the top, but it'll get you through 1v1s, 1vx's, and a lot of group play. It's very fast paced because keep in mind also in the bow passives, we're getting that nice major expedition when we do a dodge roll. Okay, so it's really nice. So when we do a dodge roll, we're getting major expedition, we're getting the minor expedition with the hurricane, and they both will stack. So very fast paced even with the heavy armor build. So really, really good. I hope you guys like it. Once again, this is the Critical Overload, and yeah, definitely lives up to its name. I'm Mr. Craven, this CSO Daily. Thank you guys for watching, and once again and always, have a nice day.